Alright, so on this episode, what I have discovered is that the workbench that I built, the plywood top that I created, is already bowing under the weight of having a lot of this stuff stuck on top of it for extended periods of time. So what I need to do is reinforce underneath the edges, and then I'm going to put some cross supports underneath the plywood to try and flatten it back out and get a more level working surface. So first I'm going to show you how it looks now, and then we'll go through cutting up some 2x4s that I bought the other day in order to create these cross supports and reinforce the table. So this is my handy dandy workstation that I have created. I used landscaping timbers because, to be honest, I just don't have a ton of money for a lot of the woodworking projects that I create. And so this was the least expensive lumber that I could get in good sizes with decent length. I even had them cut it for me at Home Depot. And I know that's a no-no for most woodworkers, but I really don't care. For me, it's more about function than anything else. And well, they do it easier and cheaper because the cutting is free. So what I'm talking about with the bowing of the table, let's see if I can get the line up just right there. You should be able to see the curvature in the top of the plywood now. So the plan is to go and create a cross support where these brackets are here, going all the way across on all four sides for the table itself, and then going in between these cross supports that are going side to side, I'm going to put some middle supports, just 2 of them, going across the middle of the table. Hopefully that will flatten out the curvature that is now giving me grief. So here we go. Alright, so as you can see, I have 3 8-foot 2x4s that are sitting here. They're just yellow pine. Works just fine for a project like this. And this is my jerry-rigged miter saw setup. I have an old vacuum hose that I actually used electrical tape, if you can see, to seal onto the exhaust port for this miter saw. Most of my tools were donated or bought for me by other people. My vacuum that you see here was actually given to me by my in-laws for Christmas. The miter saw was donated to me from one of my brothers with Tribe of Judah. Just an old saw that he was getting rid of. It works just fine though, and as you can see, I've done some doctoring on the wiring for it, but if it works, I don't care. There's nothing wrong with using donated tools. There's nothing wrong with using older items. As long as it serves its purpose, just use it. Okay, so first thing is to measure 36 inches from the end of the board to where I'm going to be cutting. And I always like to use a square just to make sure that I get a straight line across the board. Another important thing to do when you're measuring wood is always, when you are cutting it with a miter saw or something like that, account for the width of the blade. So you want to put the edge of the blade close to the line so that you get an accurate cut. You shouldn't have a cut on the other side of what I measured. So this is 36 inches from the line that I just drew to the end of the board. If I cut on this side of the line, that's actually going to be too short for my application. So I have to make sure that I cut it exactly on that line using my miter saw. So now we're going to position this. And the easiest thing to do when it comes to a miter saw cut is to just lower the blade and see where it lines up on the line. Now here, I'm a little too wide. Trying to get it as close to that line as possible. Keep in mind also, you can always take more away, but you can never put more back on. So you want it to be too short of a cut, or too long of a cut, I should say, so that you can always just shave down more. It's easier that way. Okay, so now that we've got our safety glasses on, I'm going to turn the vacuum on, going to make the cut, and we'll see how close I get to the line. Okay, so what I have, the line that I cut is right there. I can shave off that little bit to get it exactly to 36 inches by just pressing it up against the edge of my miter saw blade with it down and holding that in place. You want to flex the blade just slightly, that way you make sure that you're not getting too deep of a cut, and then hold the wood in place. So with it there, now that I've put the blade back up, I can see how much material this is going to take out. It's too much. You want to go just a slight shaving. And then you always want to verify your measurement. I have exactly 36 inches in length. Okay, so the second cut is always easier because literally all I'm going to do is take the leftover wood from the last one, line it up, and mark it for the cut. So now we make sure I'll have exactly the same length on both of those wide boards. Now I have two boards that are exactly the same length. Easy enough. Okay, so an unintentional consequence of doing the two 36-inch boards first is that I actually was left over with almost a perfect 24-inch piece when I fit it in between the side legs. It actually fit exactly how I needed it to. And by the way, the plan to join these is to use pocket holes to do so, so I'll show you that here in just a moment, but I need to cut the last piece that I need. So we've only got one more cut to make instead of cutting out two more of the 24-inch boards. Now we have two 24-inch boards. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is to get your pocket hole jig ready. I built my own pocket hole jig. The scrap wood that I used cost me nothing because it was scraps of wood. And this little actuator cost me $5 on Amazon. The Craig piece itself is the movable and clampable one that you can buy. I think it was $40 if I'm not mistaken, but I'm all about efficiency when it comes to the amount of money that I spend on my tools. Now, I'm using the depth gauge, and Isaac, if you'll come this way. What I have it currently set to, film right down here. Can you see the bit? Mm-hmm. Get down. Right there. You see how it doesn't touch the bottom there? So what I want it to do is to touch the bottom so that I get all the way through the end of this 2x4 that I am using. And now that's the depth that I want my drill to be set to, right there. But I don't want it going any deeper because then you risk drilling into your boards on the bottom. But not only that, sometimes that end piece, this is all that you want to stick through the end of the board. If you go too far with this piece, now you have nothing for that pocket hole to clamp onto and you've ruined an entire piece of wood. Going back up, Isaac. So I pull the drill out, clamp the piece in to my homemade jig, which I need to clamp down. So all I'm going to do is tighten this up so that the jig doesn't move while I'm doing my drilling. So as you can see you see the end of the board there, Isaac? Okay, so there's two tiny holes here, but two bigger holes up top. That's where the pocket holes will sit in and join the two pieces of wood together. So now I have to do the same thing on the other side of this board as well. fancy dust collection system, what I have is a garage door that opens and a blower. Everything goes out into nature. It's wood, who cares? Next, I have to remove the tabletop. Now, right now I've got just L brackets holding it up that are attached to the legs and the bottom of the tabletop that I have created. So all I'm going to do is take those screws out, remove the tabletop, so that I can then put in the cross support boards using the pocket hole screws. One big thing to remember is not to lose any of your screws, so to have a safe place to put them. Alright, so as you can see, I got the tabletop off, and you can see the placement of the L brackets on each of the legs. The only thing I'm not sure of is if I still need the L brackets, so I think I'm going to actually take those off entirely and see if I can't get this to be sturdy enough with just the pocket holes and the 2x4s. So So, as you can see, I'm using my handy dandy clamp, aka Isaac, my 8-year-old, to hold the board level while I put the first pocket hole in, because he's a strong boy. So we're going to get the first one in. Now the beauty of using an impact driver is it has an automatic chuck inside of it, and so it doesn't let you over tighten, especially when it comes to pocket holes. So it's a lot easier to hold up now, isn't it? This pocket hole joinery, as I have discovered through many trials and errors, is a very strong form of joinery. Move your hand. Thank you. What I'm trying to do is to make sure that it's level there. That'll work. Now you can let go. See? Stays up there pretty easy, doesn't it? We have a much sturdier table on which to set our plywood tabletop. Now what I didn't cut before, and I should have, was the center supports, but I needed to make sure that I got the measurements correct for those because I can't use this same length. Gabriel, stand up, come here. Film the top of the channel. So as you can see, I can't use the same length as what I used for the width because these are rounded legs since they're framing timber for landscapes. And so what I have to do is now measure from here to the other side, cut the cross supports because I'm going to put 2 cross supports going across, in order to give the middle of the table some extra support so we don't get the same bowing effect. Say hello to my two wonderful helpers also. Thank you, boys, for your good work. Say hi to the world.
Hi.
So I measured and then put the tabletop temporarily back on. I need these at 26 1/4 inches. So all I'm going to do is mark that real quick. And it's Isaac who is holding up the handy dandy camera at this point. Good job, buddy. Again, using the square to make sure that this is a straight line at 26 1/4 inches. Okay, come down. We're gonna come right over here. You can see it now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I just want the saw in this one. And now, I have two boards at 26 1/4 inches. Now I need to put pocket holes in these, and then also I'll put the mid supports in so then I can put my tabletop back onto my workstation. All right, so now what I'm doing is putting pocket holes in the two 26 1/4 inch boards that I just created. I didn't just blow the sawdust off the side this time because I will never disrespect my Harley like that. I don't mind sawdust getting onto it, but I'm not gonna blow big chunks of wood onto my paint. I love my bike. Now, I have pocket holes in there. So right after filming my last video, the phone died, but we went ahead and finished the tabletop anyways. I have the side supports put in on all sides. I have the bottom supports to level out the middle of the table installed. And then we put in screws, excuse the finger, all the way around the tabletop to hold the tabletop on. It is now much more sturdy than it was before and much more flat, as I'm sure you all can see, which is the whole purpose of that project. So it was a success. We made a very sturdy workstation. Well, I just wanted to say thank you for watching. This has been a real adventure, especially doing it with my kids working as the cameramen. So you'll have to excuse the shakiness of the camera, but I really don't care. It's more about getting them involved with everything that I'm doing and spending some time with my children. I like sharing my experiences with them, not just with the world through YouTube. And so they will be used a lot more in a lot more of my videos. It's a lot more fun when you get your kids involved. And if you're doing something woodworking wise, have them hold stuff, have them shoot a video for you, have them, use the drill. Who cares if they mess it up? It's about that time that you're spending with them and teaching them a skill. That's a huge thing in this day and age, spending time looking your children in the eye and actually doing something with them. I play video games with them regularly. I enjoy spending time with my children. And it's not just that, I got something accomplished this evening. And I work a normal job. I have 55 hours a week that I work at my current job. I'm not going to say their name because they don't get free advertising from me, but it's very rewarding to be able to come home and to do something like this and then be able to share it not just with my children but with the world. So thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. It does help when you have more subscribers because eventually you get enough subscribers, I'll end up getting ads put onto my videos through YouTube, and then I can get paid to do these videos. It's very low budget right now. Everything is shot on my iPhone. It's edited on my iPhone and it's uploaded on my iPhone.
It would be nice to get to a point where I could do things like this on a regular basis. Right now, it's just on my days off. Today, I got off a little bit early from work, and so came home and decided I was going to reinforce the table. It's a short video, but it gets the point across. Doing a lot of this can be very fun, be very relaxing. It gives you a sense of pride to be able to look at something and go, yeah, I built that, I put it together. Don't be afraid to try something new. Everything that you want often lies on the other side of fear. Don't let fear win. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing.